So I went to Glenville College, and going to Glenville, you get off the interstate at Burnsville, and then you go past Burnsville, and then you go up to the school. And I used to squirrel hunt and deer hunt in Burnsville. There's a WMA right there. You've got the dam and all that. There's a mountain up there that they call Hell, and it's because it's hell up and hell down. But the best hunting spot in the entire place is the big saddle up on top of it. So you go straight up the side of this mountain. There's not an easy way up it. There's literally one way. And you go up to the top, and then that's probably the best hunting up there because most people aren't willing to make the trek up there, you know. So I used to go up there quite a bit. I took a day off from class, and I decided that I would go hunt. So I go to Burnsville Park, get out of my truck, and I have a shotgun, and I start up the hill. So I get probably about a quarter way to the top, and I look up, and there's, you good?
Oh, great. It's saying my storage is full. You continue. I think they're...
Okay, well, yeah, we're both recording, so
Yeah,
we'll finish on ours.
So I get about a quarter of the way up, and I see a squirrel on a tree, and I shoulder up on it, and I'm looking at it, and it's sitting in one spot. It was a smaller one, so I wasn't quite as interested, you know, and I start kind of inching my way up towards it, and getting closer, and now I'm right up on top of it. I mean, I'm from here to the counter up there from, it's my phone.
Oh.
And, you know, I'm looking at it. I realize something's kind of off. You know, it doesn't look quite right. So I keep going, and I got right up against it, and it still hadn't moved. And I look at it, and it's a squirrel. It's a squirrel body and a squirrel tail with a square horseshoe nail straight dead in the middle of it, pinned it to the tree. It has no head. It's clean cut. And so I'm looking at it, and my first thought was maybe somebody's up there hunting for 22 rifle, and they shot one in the eye, and they were just killing squirrels. And people do that. It's terrible, but they do. And somebody shot it and just left it. And they had a nail for some reason, so they pinned it up against a tree just to mess with people, you know. So I get a little bit further up, and see a squirrel, shoulder up. Haven't seen anything else all day. I haven't seen a bird. I've seen a dead squirrel. I see another squirrel, shoulder up, walk towards it. I get right up on it again, kind of weird, and it's the exact same situation. The head's cut clean off, and I'm a butcher. I've butchered deer since I was 12, you know, worked in processing plants. And it's a clean cut. I mean, it's one of the nicest, it's a surgical cut, the squirrel's head off. So I keep going, figure I'll see something, you know, it's getting a little bit later. I get a little over halfway up, and right dead in the middle of the path is a deer bedded down, which isn't unheard of. It's a common thing. And I figure I'm the first person that's come up through here today. It probably stopped and took a break. You know, it's in the middle of a rut. And so I'm looking at it. I kind of stayed back a little bit. And then I thought, well, I'm not hunting deer. I can't kill it anyway. I have a shotgun. So I start up on it. And I got too close for it to be alive. So I finally go up and I circle it, looking at it. It was the exact same situation as the two squirrels, except it's laying in the path. The head's clean off of it. And my first thought was, somebody came up here, shot this deer. It was a decent buck, and they cut the head off of it because they were just trophy hunting. That's not unheard of either. It happens all the time. It's another terrible thing that happens. So I've circled the deer, and I walk up the hill. I get pretty close to the top, and I see black fur, middle of the path. Bear. There's a lot of bear in that area, a lot. And you see them all the time, it's black bear. Make a bunch of noise around a lot. So I start up towards it and I start hollering, and it doesn't move. Now I'm a little freaked out,
Right.
but it's fall, so I'm not as worried about it getting aggressive. And I kind of get a little bit closer, and I ease off to the side a little bit and work up towards it. And I know that if it comes back at me, I have a pistol and a shotgun. I'm not really worried about it. And I get up on it, and it's the same situation as the squirrels and the deer. And bear have pretty thick necks, you know, and it would be really hard to chop a head clean off a bear. It's just not something that you're going to see very often. You pretty well have to have like an old broad cutter's axe or something. Flat, straight. I'm freaked out. This is enough. Like I've had enough of today. And it starts to get real cloudy and dark. So I said, I'll make it to the top of the hill. I'll turn around. Not a big deal, you know. So I keep walking up, and I get up to about the top, and I see somebody standing off to the side a little bit. And my first thought, this is a guy that's been killing everything, you know. So I get up there a little bit. It's a old black guy, real scraggly white beard, and he's wearing like trader style moccasins, buckskin pants, a buckskin shirt, an old school cowboy hat. He has a pistol belt on, and I was a gun salesman for close to 2 years. I know guns pretty well, and he's carrying a rifle that they haven't produced since like 1902. And I figured it was just a guy that was, you have reenactment hunters. That's a real thing. A lot of guys will hunt with flintlocks, and they'll try to dress the part, you know. And so I walk up and wave at him. He waves back. It's kind of normal. And he waved at me. So I walk over there. What's going on, buddy? I said, you seen a horse? No. No horse. I said, you ride a horse up here? Yeah. That's awful steep. Yeah. He just kind of stared at me for a second. Said, well, how about I give you a ride? I'm gonna head back down the mountain anyway, and I'll give you a ride back to town, and then you can call somebody to help you look for it. I can't really today. I have class later. And he just kind of nods, and we turn around, and I kind of keep looking back over my shoulder. I have to make sure he's keeping up, and I have because there's a guy with 2 guns walking behind me that I don't know, and there's a bunch of weird stuff happening. And the pistol he was carrying was an 1861 Navy revolver, which I've bought and sold, you know, a dozen replicas of them. It's a really common reproduced gun. But the rifle he's carrying is a Model 98 Winchester, lever action. It was actually Teddy Roosevelt's Big Stick. If you've heard walk tall and carry a big stick, that was his favorite hunting rifle. It's the same model. And there are now, a 30-40 in bad shape still sells for like $15,000 to $20,000. They've never remade that gun, as far as I'm aware. And it's a really unique looking gun. It's, they took the tube magazine off of it because a lot of guys were riding with their gun in a holster on the saddle, and the tube magazine had a tendency to get bent. So I could tell what it was. They had a weird box magazine, internal box magazine, kind of dropped down off of it. And I kind of tried to make small talk with him, because I'm not hunting now anyway. I'm headed back to the truck. I want to kill one squirrel. So he's not really receptive to conversation. We get down to where the bear was. Back, I said, when did you come up here? A little while ago. Okay. Did you see a bear? No. So there was a bear laying here. I said, they moved. I said, no, it was dead. There was a dead bear here.
They move.
Yeah, he had that old school sensibility to him. It was, you know, it was what a cowboy would have said.
Yeah.
It's a
That's
really
funny.
sarcastic comment that you would expect from somebody his stature and hat. And I just kind of brushed it off a little bit because I thought maybe I was in the wrong spot, you know. So we keep walking, and we pass a big nice chestnut tree, and I knew for a fact that I passed that spot going up because I stopped and watched it for a second, and I know that's where the bear was. It had to be. There's no way it wasn't. It's the same path. There's one way. So we keep going, and we get down to where the deer was, and I could see where I'd circled. There were footprints, but there was no deer. I said, I was coming up through here. There was a deer here. It was dead here. He just kind of looked at me. Oh yeah. Okay. Well, keep going. So we keep going. Eventually we take a break. You know, we sit down on a log. And it kind of hit me that I haven't heard this guy make a noise at all. I haven't heard a footstep at all. And with my giant feet, it's hard to hear over them anyway. I break everything in the woods, I can't help it. But I'm looking at him and he don't look quite right. Everything's in too good a shape. The construction's so nice, it looks old. It looks really old. But it's nice. And I asked him a few questions. And he kind of brushed him off too. And we get down to about where the second squirrel was. And there's still a nail in the tree. And there's no squirrel. So I know this is where it was. But now the nail looks like it's grown into the tree more, like it's grown around it, you know? And we keep going. And we get almost down to where I can see my truck. And he turns around, or I turn around. And I asked him about the first squirrel. And I asked, what's going on here? Is this kind of odd? And he said, a lot of white boys wouldn't help me out from that. I said, yeah, that's a real shame. I'm not one of them. I'll help you any way I can. If there's anything else I can do for you, I will. He's kind of nodded. Well, we get down to the bottom, and I heard the first noise that I've heard out of this guy the entire time we've been walking. And all I hear is,
That gave me chills.
so that's where the hat came from.
Wow. That's crazy.
Never saw a footprint or anything.